a governor going on television after a massive tragedy where we don't even know the number of people dead yet. You have this massive area that's been burnt to the ground.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about taking it over for the state. That's an insane position to take.
It is.
Post-tragedy. When people are suffering at their most, they can't even believe it happened.
Yeah.
Tonight from Maui, where Oprah Winfrey recently bought hundreds of acres of ag land in upcountry.
He said in a press conference, he said, we're talking to the Attorney General. He said, I'm talking to my Attorney General to explore options for the state to take over that land and use it to build workforce housing or build a memorial to for the people who lost their lives.
Joe Rogan, the well-known voice of reason and curiosity, has recently unleashed a powerful call to action in defense of Maui residents. He's taken a stand against elites who are greedily eyeing the land of these islanders, questioning the audacity of anyone trying to snatch away their homes, especially during their most vulnerable moments. The people of Maui, particularly in Lahaina, are deeply troubled by the looming possibility that their ancestral lands might be taken by the state. But here's the twist. It's not just the government at play here. Wealthy real estate investors, developers, and elites are also in the mix, making enticing offers for the fire-ravaged land. So join us as we unravel the compelling story of post-tragedy Maui, where forces both public and private seem determined to grab a piece of paradise from its rightful owners.
I just want to remind all you real estate investors around the world, like Lahaina is not for sale. Please don't reach out to these families and take advantage of them during the most devastating time of our lives.
Just recently, Joe Rogan invited Tulsi Gabbard, who represented Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District in the U.S. from 2013 to 2021, to his show, The Joe Rogan Experience. During their conversation, they delved into the response to the devastating fires that struck Maui. What's really eye-popping is that Joe Rogan brought up some concerning allegations about someone attempting to take away the land belonging to Maui's residents. And surprisingly, Tulsi confirmed Joe's suspicions right there on the show.
But the fears that the people in Lahaina have, some of whom, like Archie Kalepa, famous surfer, community leader, Native Hawaiian leaders, family has lived in Lahaina for 9 generations, now being told, well, the state, the governor is looking at taking that land, taking ownership of that land.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. The folks on the show, including Joe and Tulsi, didn't take kindly to the idea of snatching land affected by the Maui wildfires for things like workforce housing or a memorial. They saw it as morally wrong and a breach of people's rights and sovereignty. This news hit the public like a bolt from the blue. People felt that discussing taking over this land right after a terrible tragedy showed a shocking lack of empathy and timing. It felt like an abuse of power and a disregard for the suffering of those affected. Tulsi pointed out that while the state was trying to grab land from folks, they were offering some money to help them survive. She thought it was insane. You see, Hawaii already has the highest cost of living in the whole country. So it was like a slap in the face when the lead disaster response person from the Biden administration proudly said they were giving everyone a measly $700 payment. Tulsi Gabbard didn't stop there. She also shed light on the lack of government help for the communities hit by the Maui wildfires. In the aftermath, neighbors and families had to lean on each other for support and supplies because the government didn't step in. Tulsi even hopped on a plane from the main airport in Maui to a smaller one near the affected area to deliver much-needed supplies to the community dealing with the aftermath of the wildfires. According to Gabbard, the families and communities affected were left in the lurch because the mayor's response was slow. On top of that, the governor's plan to take over the land added to their woes. In Lahaina, folks were deeply worried that the governor might swoop in and claim the land affected by the wildfires. This struck fear into the hearts of a community that had called that land their home for generations. What really riled up the public was the unfairness of it all. They couldn't fathom how the government could try and snatch land away from the locals when celebrities like Oprah Winfrey owned vast stretches of land. In fact, it's no secret that Oprah, who spent over 15 years in Maui part-time, recently went on a property buying spree in the Aloha State. According to a report from a local news outlet, she shelled out around $6.6 million for 4 pieces of agricultural land, totaling a whopping 870 acres in Kula, Maui. 2 of these plots were even sold by Ulapalakua Ranch just last month. One plot covered 520 acres and went for $3.89 million, while the other, spanning 330 acres, cost her $2.47 million. Quite the contrast, wouldn't you say? As if that wasn't enough, towards the end of last year, Oprah Winfrey made headlines once again by acquiring 2 10-acre pieces of land, each for just $100,000. This purchase stirred up quite a mix of reactions from the local residents. Some were concerned that this acquisition might contribute to the displacement of native Hawaiians. It's worth noting that Oprah already owned over 100 acres of land in Maui, which means she now boasts ownership of roughly 1,000 acres on the island.
Media are calling the buy excessive because the millionaire already owns more than 100 acres in upcountry in Hana before buying 870 more acres in Kula.
Now here's where the public's frustration really kicks in. Instead of trying to push out the residents who've been through so much, people are wondering why the government doesn't make use of some of Oprah's land instead. It's almost like a logical solution staring them in the face. But that's not all. Reports are coming in that in the aftermath of the devastating wildfires, residents whose homes were reduced to ashes are getting unsolicited offers from real estate investors from off the island. These investors are trying to snap up the land that's been ravaged by the fires. These offers are being labeled as predatory by experts, mainly because they're taking advantage of the people's misfortune and desperation. This has led local authorities to step in and take action to protect residents who are not only dealing with the loss of their loved ones, but also the loss of their homes and livelihoods due to these catastrophic wildfires. Goldine Lowe, a Maui resident, got hit with a shocker. Right after the devastating wildfires, she received not 1, not 2, but 5 offers to buy her house. And her house wasn't even in the area burned by the fires. It was like these offers came from another planet, completely ignoring the heartache her community had just gone through. One of these offers came from a bunch of real estate folks in Texas. They claimed the housing market in Lahaina was hotter than a summer's day in the desert, and they wanted to buy her house with a big bag of cash. But again, her house wasn't anywhere near the fire zone. It was like they didn't even do their homework and just wanted to take advantage of her. No wonder she felt like they were saying, "Hey, ready to leave your home in the middle of a tragedy and make some cash?" Thankfully, some heroes have stepped in to protect Maui's people and their land. They're shouting it loud and clear, Maui is not up for sale. As one of these heroes is a law professor named Troy Andrade. He's working his socks off to educate and shield Maui residents from these sneaky tricks. The Hawaii Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs has raised a big red flag about these tricky real estate pitches. They're warning folks in Maui to be careful. They're saying that if someone comes out of the blue offering to buy your property, you might end up with way less money than you should. These buyers can be real smooth talkers, making you feel rushed to make a decision, even when you should take your time. To make things even crazier, Hawaii's Governor Josh Green said it's now illegal for anyone to bug Mauians about selling their land. But guess what? It looks like the state itself might be joining the land-grabbing party. People in Maui are standing up, fighting to keep their land, their heritage, and their homes. They're up against not just the local government, but also bigger forces from the state and feds. This is where Joe Rogan stepped in, boldly calling out the elites for their shady dealings. Let's face it, losing your loved ones, your homes, and even your land all at once is an incredibly heart-wrenching experience. Instead of extending a helping hand to the devastated community, it appears that these elites are trying to entice them out of their rightful possessions. But Joe Rogan is not alone in this fight. The people of Maui have rallied together, making their voices heard on social media and beyond. They refuse to let their community and its values be undermined by those with ulterior motives. It's a collective outcry against what seems like a grave injustice. In the face of adversity, Maui residents are standing strong, united in their determination to protect their homes, their land, and their way of life. It's a testament to the resilience and solidarity of a community that won't be swayed by the interests of the elites and even its government. It's a battle to keep Maui in the hands of the people who call it home. They're calling for unity, telling everyone to spread the word and stand tall to save Maui from those who want to snatch it away. Maui belongs to its people, and they're ready to fight to keep it that way. So what do you think about this wild situation in Maui? Share your thoughts below.